So you're thinking of moving to Phoenix, Arizona, the 5th largest city in the country? I mean, it can be quite overwhelming if you don't know your way around town and what to expect once you get here. So what I want to do is I want to try and unpack some of the things that could be beneficial to you when you get here. So with that being said, just kick back and relax because we're getting after it right now. Hi, my name is Rick from the Phoenix, Arizona Living Team, and if you want to know everything there is to know about Phoenix and any of the amazing suburbs, all things related to real estate, then be sure and subscribe below, and don't forget to tap that bell for notification. That way you'll be the first to know about our current market here in the Valley. You know, we get calls, text messages, and emails from people just like you every single day looking to move to a city like Phoenix, and we absolutely love it. So whether you think of moving next week, maybe a month from now, or even a year from now, go ahead, you can reach out to us, you can give us a call, send us a text, you can shoot us an email, you can even schedule a Zoom call. All of our contact information is listed down below, and we'd be more than happy to help you make that smooth move to Phoenix. You know, what's interesting about living in Phoenix is it seems like everybody has moved from somewhere else to Phoenix. You know, I was born and raised in this town, so I'm one of the locals. So, you know, we have a tendency living here for many, many years of just taking things for granted. We don't really stop to think, gee, what do we have that maybe other cities don't have, or how can we help people transition moving here to the Valley? And so that's what I'm hoping to do today. So obviously I haven't moved from another city to Phoenix with my experience. I've had the chance to travel throughout the country, and I visited a number of other cities. I did live in the South going to college, so I'm kind of familiar with that whole process and the weather and the humidity and what have you. So what I'm going to do is I've talked to clients, gotten different things from them and questions that I've asked over the years, and just kind of compiled a list. So I'm just going to go down through a few of those just to see if they can't help you kind of transition with your move here to the Valley. And so with that being said, let's just get after it right now. All right, one of the things you're going to find when you move here, as big as Phoenix is, it's really a fairly easy town to get around. And I speak of Phoenix and the surrounding suburbs. You know, everything is pretty much north, south, east, and west. It's laid out on a square grid. It's going to take a little bit of navigating to understand how that all works and how to get around. But you're going to find, for the most part, it's pretty easy to get around this town. We do have in Phoenix a center line, which is called Central. Everything to the east going towards Scottsdale is going to be all your streets, and everything west going out to the West Valley is going to be your avenues. So you kind of have that general feel of streets and avenues. It'll help you get around town fairly easily, but it shouldn't be too difficult. It might just be a little bit of getting used to it. One of the things you're going to have to get used to living here is our Desertscape. Obviously, before you moved down here, you knew what type of environment we have. Primarily, we live in the Sonoran Desert, and it's a lot of cactus. They all have thorn bushes on it, so you've got to be careful when you're out and about in the cactus, especially with the little ones and animals and things like that, or your pets. But, you know, depending on the kind of lifestyle you want to have here in the Valley, if you live up near the mountain regions, you know, oftentimes you'll see more desertscape up there, and that's the way the cities want it to kind of transition and preserving the desert as much as possible. But there's a lot of other areas of town more centrally located in the Valley or down in the Southeast Valley, where if you come from an environment where there's a lot of grass, a lot of lush greenery, you know, that might be an area of town that you might want to live in because predominantly those were farmlands for many, many years. I mean, we built down in that part of the Valley. You know, I grew up here in the home building business. Made a lot of those farmers wealthy over the years buying land from them. So you can still get some green grass down there, some lush green trees down in that part of the Valley. So it just really depends on, you know, where in the Valley do you want to live? You've got your choice. You can have the Desertscape, or you can have more of the lush green grass areas, and it's going to be completely in different areas of town, but they're available to both. You know, one of the things that I hear a lot of people talk about are critters and wildlife. You know, I hear you got snakes there and scorpions and spiders and all sorts of little critters. Yeah, we've got all of it. Yes, we do. And they're here in abundance. I mean, the biggest things that people bring up are scorpions and snakes. And we do have scorpions. And a lot of times those are around more of the mountain regions, more so than in the central part of Phoenix or more in the interior area of the Valley. You know, so... And especially around new construction too, you know, you start moving dirt and that gets the scorpions in the soil, that gets them active, and they'll start moving. So occasionally you might find a scorpion or two in your home, maybe out on your property. The great thing about it is if they're a nuisance, call a pest control company. We got bunches and bunches of them all around town. You can get on monthly service, and they take care of that for you. And we also have snakes. I mean, snakes are a big thing here. Obviously, our rattlesnakes, we're known for those. You don't see them as frequently, but they are around. Occasionally, they might be on your property. You might see it, out hiking or what have you. There again, if it's a complete nuisance and you got something in your yard, I don't care. I just want the snake out of here. Call your local fire department. They'll come out and remove the snakes. Some people say, hey, just kill them. And, for me personally, I prefer not to do that. So there are ways you can preserve the snakes, and they will take them out into the natural desertscape and leave them there. But there are a couple of good snakes, believe it or not, in our species of snakes we have here. Two common ones that you'll hear referenced would be a gopher snake. They're more of a lighter tan-colored snake, similar to that of a rattlesnake, but without the rattle. They're actually a good snake because they eat all the critters in and around your property. So that's something to take in consideration. Or you might see what is called a king snake. They can be different colors. Primarily, they might be blackish in color. And that's a great snake to have, too, because they eat everything. They'll even eat rattlesnakes. So, if you can adapt to them in and around your property, those are a couple of good snakes to have. And if you just can't and it's just bothersome, then reach out to the local fire department. They'll be more than happy to come out. They'll remove the snakes for you, and then you don't have to worry about it. We do have bobcats here. We were known for coyotes. They're quite common around the valley. There again, around the preserve areas, typically on the outlying areas for the most part. We do have javelinas. If you're not familiar with those, they look like a pig. They got the snout like a pig. They're blackish, gray in color. They're about the size of a medium-sized dog. I see them out quite frequently when I go walking in the neighborhood. They're not really too much of a nuisance. They'll kind of scurry across the sidewalk and go down into the desert. So just be aware of them. Most of the time they're going to leave you alone. Occasionally we'll see deer. Saw some recently, driving through the mountain preserve area up in Scottsdale. Every now and then, believe it or not, you might see a mountain lion. Actually, our oldest son saw one not too long ago up in North Scottsdale, but that's very frequent. I personally have never seen one here, and I was born and raised here, so you don't see them very often, but every now and then people do have sightings around their property. And so when it comes to the wildlife, if you've got small animals, small pets, dogs primarily, just make sure if you're going to take them outside and take them for a walk, I strongly encourage you to keep them on a leash. We do have a leash law here that'll protect you from the wildlife. Occasionally, you hear stories about maybe some of these pets getting attacked. It's more seldom than anything, and especially in your backyard. Bobcats and coyotes can scale a 6-foot fence. So, if you let your dogs out in your backyard, especially your smaller animals, just keep an eye on them. You never know, and hopefully they'll go out, they'll do their business, not stay outside too long, and they'll come back in the house if they're an indoor dog. So just be careful around your house, around the wildlife. Phoenix doesn't have any type of main transit system like you see in a lot of the bigger cities. Phoenix, one thing you're going to notice about Phoenix when you get here, it's vastly large and extremely spread out. We do have a light rail system that kind of goes through central Phoenix and feeds out into the Mesa out in the East Valley and also up into North Phoenix. It'll shuttle several thousand people a day. But for the masses, it really doesn't take care of that. I mean, if you live close to the light rail, you can find that as a benefit to hop on and hop off. But I encourage people to make sure you got a vehicle when you live here, because for the majority of folks, you're going to need that to get around town because it is extremely spread out, and you're going to need some form of traffic. You're going to need some form of a vehicle to get around the traffic in town. All right, another couple of things that we're known for in the summertime is we've got monsoons that come in, typically in the summertime, July and August, as well as what are called haboobs. Now, a haboob, I grew up here. The only thing I knew it as was a big dust storm. In recent years, I guess it's transitioned, and now it's called haboob. And all it is we get a lot of windstorms in the summertime, and with all the dust from the desert that picks up, it can be a massive wall of dust that just kind of blows across and through town. It might be as high as 1,000 feet in the air. It can be quite eerie. Now, I don't believe we've had any this year, and sometimes we might only have them once or twice a year. It's been interesting. We've had some really unusual weather patterns the last couple of years, but typically we might get one or two of those a year. And, if you're happen to driving in one, I highly encourage you got to pull over and you just got to wait it out. It doesn't last very long, and it'll blow on past, but if you've been indoors And you come outside after one's come through, it's a really eerie feeling because you just feel this real kind of settlement of dust everywhere. But so that's something to be aware of, called Haboobs. And another thing that's quite common in Phoenix is we get monsoon season. Typically it's July and August, where we get a lot of late afternoon thunderstorms that'll blow through here and bring a lot of rain and what have you. Haven't had too much of it really up until the last couple of weeks. Is we've had our first rain in probably 3 or 4 months. So it's been a dry summer here, but typically they'll come in, they'll dump a bunch of rain, maybe late afternoon through the evening. And so just, you got to be aware of that, be prepared for that, because you can have a nice day out and by the end of the afternoon, these storms roll in and it starts raining and it can pour quite extensively. And when it does rain, if we get an extended amount of rain, and I'm talking maybe an inch. Now, for a number of you watching this, an inch of rain probably isn't very much. We don't have the ability with our water runoff to really handle it. So oftentimes there's a lot of surface streets around the valley that have low areas that will fill up and create kind of like a wash effect. And the only thing I encourage you, if you're driving in your vehicle, you come across some of these areas, it's best just to turn around and go find an alternate route. Do not try and cross through it, because so many times this happens. People drive through these washes, the water's deeper than what they thought it would be. They get stuck. Now they got to call for help. The rescue crews show up, and then they end up getting a big bill because they got to pay for it. So just something to be aware of. These low transition areas in our streets after these big rainstorms that come through here. Because like I said, we get about 10 inches of rain a year. So an inch of rain for us at any one time is a bunch of rain. And it takes a while for our surface streets to handle it. So there can be some flash flooding around town, and you just need to be aware of it. Another thing I want to caution you about, and when you drive around town, we got some pretty crazy fast drivers. So you've got to be careful. You're going to see we've got a lot of sports cars that are here in town. They drive fast. They've got loud engines. They rev up and down the freeways. We do have speed limit signs posted, but I think it's more of a cautionary device for them. I don't know if they really pay attention to them. But don't be surprised. You get on the freeways, you're cruising along, and people are just zooming by you like you're on the Autobahn. They're going fast and they're going crazy. And oftentimes they don't pay attention. And as a result, it's not uncommon to see a number of accidents on our freeway system throughout the day. So just be cautious, be concerned, be aware of that. Also on our surface streets, get a lot of impatient drivers too. You know, the various stoplights. I mean, if you don't go when the light turns green, you might get honked at. People get impatient. So, you know, the best thing to do is just, if you drive slow, stay to the right. That's the best thing. But don't be surprised or don't be alarmed when you get here. It's like, man, these people are crazy. Yes, a lot of crazy drivers here in town. All right, and another thing you're going to need to get used to or be aware of when you get here is, unfortunately, Phoenix has very hard water. A lot of minerals are in our water. A lot of our drinking water is surface water. So you can drink it out of the tap. It just doesn't taste very good. So I encourage people to either get a soft water system to lessen the hardness of the water. It's great for showers, and you know, it doesn't create a lot of spots on glasses and dishes and things like that. And also, you know, get a water filtration device just for drinking water. It'll taste better. Personally, our family drinks a lot of bottled water, but we have both. So just know that when you get here, if you do turn on the water on the tap and it doesn't taste very good, that's why. And just, you know, the good news is a lot of the homes either have a filtration device, or they've got a water softening system in, or they're pre-plumbed for one. And I know a lot of the apartments, what have you, have that available as well. So just to be aware of that, because it might not taste very good. All right, this is something that doesn't get talked a lot about, but believe it or not, Arizona leads the nation in auto glass repair and replacement. Because we live in the desert and there's so many dust particles and small pebbles and crushed granite and rock that we landscape our freeway systems with, and because of the winds that kick in, it's not uncommon for a lot of this stuff to get blown on the freeways or some of these surface streets. You could be traveling down the freeway, a little rock kick up, boom, it'll hit right in the windshield. It might leave a little star pattern. It might create a break in the windshield, and this is going to have to get replaced. And so be prepared for that. I recently had it done in my vehicle, had it replaced here, and then there was a point a couple of years ago in about a 90 to 120 day period, I had 3 windshields I needed to be replaced. I just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and man, it hit the windshield and it just spider cracked and blew out everywhere. So that's something you just have to be aware of. And the good news is that most of the insurance companies will have some kind of free glass replacement in your policies. So just get with your insurance company when you move down here. They might bring that up to you. If not, ask them about that, because that's definitely something you want to have in place here, because it is quite common to go through the windshields. One thing that's going to be hopefully a real enjoyment to you is when you travel around the valleys, our freeway system. For years, our freeway system was not very good. It wasn't very efficient. But due to the tremendous growth we've had over the last 20 or 30 years, our freeways have made a vast improvement. And the great thing about traveling on our freeways, we do have HOV lanes throughout the valley. So if you got 2 or more people in the vehicle, you can travel through travel on these HOV lanes in the morning and the afternoons during rush hour. Of course, it's open during the day, so you don't need to have 2 people in your vehicle for that. But that's a great thing too, because with the HOV lanes, most of our freeways are 4 and 5 lanes wide. So you got plenty of room. And also, you're going to find that the surface that the surface on the freeways are very good. A lot of rubberized coating around our freeway system, so you don't get a lot of road noise coming up through your vehicle, which is pretty nice. And the best thing I'll tell you about our freeway system is, for me anyways, there's no toll roads. We just got back from moving our youngest son to Austin, Texas, about a week ago. And of course, I'm not familiar with the town. I'm driving around, and I don't know. It just for some reason, driving in Texas, and we had an older son that lived in Dallas for a few years, and we'd go visit. But I always feel like their freeways are kind of like this, like you're on a small little roller coaster, a lot of waviness. Here, it's very smooth surfaces around town, big wide lanes, easy transitions to get on and off the freeway. Everything seems to be well identified and marked, but there are no toll roads. Now, for me, that's wonderful. So all of the freeways are open up any time of day. You don't have to worry about it. When I was traveling in Austin and rolled into town, of course, I'm not familiar with the city. And of course, I missed my turn, and I'm driving a big old rental van or pickup or rental vehicle. And of course, I get on the freeway, and it's a toll road or toll freeway, and you can't get off. So of course, I drive through the toll booth, and it says, don't worry, we'll send you a bill. I'm like, oh gosh, now I got to go through this. And I got stuck. And so I'm sure I'll get a bill in the mail fairly soon, and I'll have to pay. But you don't have to worry about that here in Phoenix. Everything's wide open. There are no toll roads. Freeway services are good. You're also going to find a lot of the surface roads around town are good. They do a good job as best they can of keeping up with, our freeway construction, expansion, our roads throughout the city. We don't have a lot of potholes throughout the valley, which is really nice. So things are pretty good. Our biggest challenge is the traffic. We incur tremendous amounts of traffic, and especially in the wintertime, we got a lot of winter visitors that come in. And oftentimes during rush hour, morning and the afternoon, there are places around town like a parking lot. It is what it is. You just got to be patient, and it'll get you around town. But just know that our freeway system is well set up, and whatever freeway you can get on, it can transition in any other part of the valley you need to go to, which is really nice. So you don't have to get on a lot of different freeways to get to around town. As big as Phoenix is, it's still an easy town to get around. But so that's definitely a bonus here in Phoenix. There's no toll roads. Just be prepared when you get here. You're probably going to pay more to register your vehicle and where you're coming from. It's all based on what the year, make, and model of your vehicle is, and what the current value is, and what you're going to pay for that year. Now, they do have a 2-year registration, so I think they give you a little bit of a break on the second year. So you've got a choice if you want to pay the second year in advance. Also, if you've got an older vehicle, I believe it's 5 years or older, you might have to have it emission tested. They just want to make sure there's not too many bad pollutants being put in the air. And we've got a number of these testing centers around the valley, so you just find one that's close to you. They'll send you a notice. You go in, you get it tested. You go ahead and get it passed. It'll go ahead and automatically upload it to the Motor Vehicle Department site, and then you can continue on to the registration for that year online if you'd like to do that, and then your tags will be mailed to you. So you might have to pay a little bit more moving here. The good news is, a lot of the monies from the registration go for our road surfaces, so that's why we've got a lot of good roads, good freeways to cover that. So be prepared when you get here. You're going to end up paying more to register your car. Now, one of the things about the weather that we have here, I mean, year round it's nice. I'm going to talk about the summer heat here in just a minute, but one thing that you might incur if you have this issue back home, or even if you don't have it back home, it might be something new you might experience here, and it could be various types of allergies you could incur here. Because we live in a dry climate, it's a very dusty area. You might not be used to it. And so if you're used to a little bit of a humid climate, maybe not quite as dusty, you move here, might be a little bit of a transition for you when it comes to breathing or coughing and things like that. I know for me, like I said, I'm born and raised here, lived here my whole life. Up until the last probably 10 or 12 years, I didn't have an issue with any kind of allergies issues or anything. But in the wintertime, when we transitioned from the warm summer into the fall, I started getting a persistent cough, and it's viral, it's not bacterial, and it's kind of run its course. So that's something I got to deal with. But just know that because of our weather, allergies could be impacted for you when you get here because of our desert climate. You're not used to it, or you might incur something new that you haven't had in the past. So just be aware of it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish it up with this, and that's, of course, our summer heat. This is the main topic of conversation when people are thinking of moving to Phoenix. Most of the time, people want to know about our heat. It gets extremely hot in the summertime, primarily June, July, and August. The rest of the year is extremely nice. It's great to go out and play golf in the wintertime and wear shorts and a t-shirt, and people back in the Midwest and back east are shoveling snow. So that is the offset. We do put up with the summer heat, which can get extremely hot, but it's beautiful in the wintertime. Now, it's interesting. We've had some different and unusual weather patterns over the last 2 or 3 years, I've noticed. And just like this past summer, I'm shooting this in the third week in August of 2023, but back in June, really for about the first 3 months coming out of the spring into the summer, it was fairly nice here. Actually, June, temperature was in the low to mid 90s, very low humidity, and it's about 15-20%. And so for us, it wasn't really that hot. It was quite comfortable. It started heating up the tail end of June, and then we went into July, and it was just a bear. It was brutal. We set record temperatures in July. Every day in the month of July was over 110 degrees. I was very aware of it because I was outside of it a lot. I continued shooting these channel videos that you've watched. I wore my big rimmed hat just because I was outside a lot. So you just got to be careful. You got to be cautious when you're outside in the extreme heat of day. The great thing about it is here, and just make sure that with your automobile, you've got good air conditioning in it. Make sure it's serviced. You got plenty of Freon in the lines, because nothing is better when you've been outside and you transition, you get into your car, and then your car's nice and cold and you cool down rather quickly. Because for most people that live here, you're going to be transitioning in air conditioning space either through your home, your car, your work, or whatever. So you might be outside for short periods of time, and it's really not too bad. Your best friend is going to be water. Drink plenty of it. I can't emphasize that enough, because you will dehydrate. I mean, even for somebody like myself who was born and raised here, there are times I get dehydrated, and your lips, you start getting cotton mouth and what have you. So just carry water with you at all times. Drink plenty of it. If you like to get outdoors and exercise, it's a big thing here in the valley. People love to go hiking. We've got some great mountains that surround the valley. Great for hiking and mountain bike riding, trail running, whatever it is that you like to do. Primarily, if you can, do it earlier in the morning, maybe late afternoon, out of the heat of day. Just watch the UV index, make sure it's not too hot, and dress accordingly if you're going to be out. A lot of people like to go out midday when it's hot. Just my best advice for you is just make sure you got proper attire on, you got plenty of water, and you should be okay. And if you're going to take your pets outside, just make sure that it's not an extreme heat of day, because if it's hard on you, it's going to be hard on them as well. And you can even get these little, what do they call these, little booties or little shoes? Yeah, I see a lot of dogs that have these on, and just protects their feet. So just be aware of it. But, Phoenix is a great place to live. Yes, it gets hot in the summertime, but if you just use it, just be aware of it. Be cautious with it. We have to deal with it. I mean, it's not uncommon. At midnight, it's over 100 degrees here in the summertime. It sucks. It is what it is. But I tell you what, before you know it, fall is right around the corner. Then you go into the wintertime and in the spring, and it's just phenomenal. 70s, 60s, 70s degrees, sunny, dry, not a lot of rain. And that's why we get such an influx of traffic, that time of year in the wintertime. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. All right, so I hope you found this helpful. It kind of gave you a few little pointers about Phoenix when you get here, some things to expect and some of the kind of the plus and minuses of living here, things to be aware of. So, hey, as always, be sure to like this video. If you got any thoughts or comments, share them down below. I'd love to know what you think. Was this a good list for you as well? And, we've got these videos coming out every week, and we'd love to share them with you. So if you haven't already done so, be sure and subscribe below and tap the bell for notification. And if we can ever help you with any of your real estate needs, whether you're looking to buy, sell, maybe invest. I grew up in the home building business, so if you want new construction, I understand that business inside and out. I can definitely help you in that arena. So just reach out to us, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. And like I said, we can schedule a Zoom call, and we'd be more than happy to help you make that smooth move here to Phoenix. So thanks so much for watching, and until next time, we hope to show you around town. Bye now.